Okay, sorry, gentlemen. I had a power lapse, and I think it took quite some time for the host to unmute my mic. Sorry for that. Let us finish up the last point of it, please. Sorry for that. Sorry for that. We are saying our fourth paragraph is going to come from page 2. He could not hear what was going on between them and studied the dimensions of the conflict carefully. And then suddenly he slapped the woman's face with shocking impassiveness. Taib was so startled by the incident that he focused all his anger at offending the man's stomach. Stricken by severe cramps, the brute unexpectedly doubled over, moaning and screaming in pain. The bus did not move until he had been carried outside for an ambulance to fetch him. Meanwhile, more than one voice cried out, "He deserves it. That is what he gets for his bad manners and cheekness." Taib al-Mahid observed all this with satisfaction, certain that he had done his duty in best manner possible. To bring out the aspect of poor use of power. Those are the 4 paragraphs. I'll be constructing the last paragraph, then I'll be sending it to you. There was that request, I sent it to you, so I'll be sending the full written essay. You can copy it in your books at the same time. Allow me to go to the next story. And story number 2 starts the incident in the park. That is where I want us to head, please. Someone else to help us read now. Incident in the park. Can we have someone, please? We read the story. It's a long story, so we'll have around 2 lessons taking us through this. We have Elvis. Okay, I think Elvis has left. Apart from Alvin Ongombe, someone else to help us now start reading Incident in the Park. It's a story by Major Mwangi. It's a Kenyan story that is going to focus on some few things in the streets of Nairobi, in the streets of Kenya. And one of the key things that is going to bring across, that is going to be discussed here, we have what we call unethical acts. At the same time, we are going to see some of the challenges of the urban centers. So in the scope of setting, there are 2 questions that can be set from this story. And the first story will be set on unethical acts. And the other story can be set on the issues or the problems that are there in the urban centers. So allow me to go with Abdi, the one I can see the hand is up. Abdi. 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 Okay, seems like he's not ready. Okay, allow me to start us off. I can see Melvin. Melvin, raise up your hand, please. You saw the hand up. Yes, Melvin. Melvin.
The sky.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Okay, can we go to the story, page 6, please?
Okay, the story is an incident in the park by Major Mwangi. The sky was a hot, clear blue, not a promise of a drop of rain that August. The drought had taken a heavy toll in the park. The ground was a deep, dusty brown, bare and parched. Dried bits of grass stuck forlornly out of the numerous cracks, like pleading tongues out of hell, screaming for a drop of water. Dry leaves shed by the dusty trees ran rustling in front of the light breeze. This city, in a desperate effort to keep itself beautiful, had watered the more delicate flowers planted like oasis islands at various points over the dirty brown park.
Okay, just a moment before you can. The first key thing that is coming out from that first aspect is that we have description of the incident in the park. We have the aspect of the person first describing the park. And one of the key things that we can learn a lot from this paragraph is our students should learn. That is one way of also learning how to write. And one of the key things, you can see how vividly he has tried to describe. The park. And the first key thing, he takes us to that moment and the time that the drought had taken every toll in the park. So you can just imagine and you can vividly see. This one is talking about Uhuru Park, and the park you can see the grass had died and we have rustling leaves, and we have feeding tons of hail screaming for a drop of water, dry leaves shed. So it is during August time. It's during the time that there is no drop of water at any particular point. And in that description, it just brings us to the park, how the park is looking like. Remember, a park is a place where people go to relax, maybe for leisure. And we expect maybe the authorities to do something about it by ensuring that the park is either by watering the grass or by making it look better, even though it is during the August holiday or it is during the time when there was no rain. Continue, please. The vast park.
The vast park quietly shimmered in the oppressive sun. The boathouse sat sadly hunched over the shoulder of the lake. The dirty, muddy water lapping softly as its withdrawn feet. Up the hill to the west, the red-tiled roof of the cathedral was visible, half hidden among the tall dark blue gums, the gaunt walls giving it an appearance as ominous as the castle of Count Dracula. Among the trees higher up the hill, there were more modern fortresses. The ministerial offices towering over the aged blue gums with youthful impunity. Hundreds of glass windows winking at the park below. Across the park from the ministerial offices was the city itself, lying low, a dormant dragon, growling with clogged up traffic. The huge highway stretched out between them, restrained the city from intruding on the park.
So there is a good description of where the park is situated. And you can see one of the key things they take us to them is a cathedral. Those people know. And apart from that, you can see the ministerial office that you can see them up there, the fortresses, brings out the authority, the power, towering over the edge to blow dams and youthful impunity, hundreds of glass windows winking in the park below. So we look at where Uhuru Park is situated. Up there, you can see I think it is Afia House. You can see the Ministry of Lands, Earth House. You can see where we have all those offices there. Then for you to connect to the town, you have to pass by the park. So you can see the video description he has tried to explain to us, and the huge highway stretched out between them, restrain the city from including the park. So it's a highway that you can see. I don't know whether it is Uhuru Highway. I can't remember the name of the highway, but from Haile Selassie, that road that connects, and now we have expressway cutting across there. And then from that, you can see from the other side, you can see now the park. And from the park, you can see now the ministerial offices on the other end. So the other takes us to tell us where this actually is located. And it is a park that is in between the city dwellers, the busy part of the city, that is now the city center, the CBD, and the other side, whereby we have the aspect of the offices, a more quiet place where we just have the offices and everything. Now separated by the park, and from the park you have the roads that now separated from the busy street center or busy city center. From the park grounds.
From the park grounds, one lane facing east, one looked up straight into the frowning faces of the Parliament and City Hall clocks. Every hour on the dot, the two struck suddenly together, regulating the tired city's pulse and reminding the park loungers just how many hours they had wasted lying idle.
So one of the key things before you continue, the other takes us to introduce the first part of it about the park. And there are two things that are happening here. We have the park loungers. Please underline that point of it if you have your book with you. The park loungers. And the park loungers, as you can see them there is something else that is going on. Every hour on the dot, the two struck settling together, regulating the tired city pulse and reminding the park loungers just how many hours they had wasted lying idle, pleading with them to get up and be useful. So there's a city clock, and the city clock is moving every time. And every struck, and every time it moved, it was a reminder. The park loungers who are idling. So there are people who are idling at the park. And one of the key things, the other takes a perspective of the clock trying to tell them It is high time you rise from sleeping from the park and you go, you do something. There's no need of idling. And the city clock has been personified to be talking and to be sending a message that time waits for no man, that the park loungers, there's need for them to really, arise and do something that is more, something more important, instead of them just lying or idling at the park. Continue, please.
Mostly, the pleas went unheeded, but every now and then, a misplaced person rose with a start, squinted up at the clock's accusing fingers, and brushing grass and dust from his bottom, flung defeatedly across the highway into the city maze. Others shook their heads defiantly at the insistent clocks, cursed them loudly, and facing the other way, went back to sleep. These were the insolent few. If they had anywhere to go at all, they certainly did not want to go there.
So you
Cars
talked about some few. As you want to talk about the aspect of unemployment and joblessness as part of the few problems that we might be having in the country or in the state or in the city, there's one thing about it, that even though there are people, there could be something they could do. You see, some of the park loungers were insolent. Even if they had something to go and somewhere to go and something to do, they would not wake up. And he views them as people who are very insolent, stubborn. If they had anywhere to go at all, they still did not want to go there. So this brings out one, it's not even about the aspect of them. It's not even about them.
Hmm? You are not audible. We can't hear you. Hmm.
Okay, sorry. I think my phone has a problem. My laptop has a problem. Allow me to use my phone. So let us continue. Let us
Cars
continue.
Braden. Cars
Wangombe.
Braden. Hello. Cars brayed on the highway. Brakes shrieked. Ambulances wheeled away, racing against death. Half a kilometer away, trains whistled urgently. Time to go. Go where? The park people were there to stay. They had arrived. The sounds were sounds from another world. At the stroke of one, the dam burst. A flood of hungry office workers rushed out of the ministerial offices, and in a furiously ravenous torrent swept down the hill. They came in armies. Time had once again thrown the floodgates open. They swarmed down the hill into the park, past the first ice cream man, round the lakes to the eastern exit. The second ice cream man blocked the only way to the highway, determined to make a sale today. The
Okay,
swamp
just a moment. The further key thing that comes out clearly from that point we just have at the park lounges. Second key thing, we have the aspect of pollution that is brought out by the aspect of the first point of it in the second paragraph of page 7. The cars brayed on the highway, brakes shrieked, ambulances wailed. That is one of the key issues if I'm going to make a paragraph on pollution, noise pollution, as part of the problems that we have. Racing against death, half-kilometer away, trains whistled urgently. Time to go. Go where? The park people were there to stay. They had arrived. The sounds are sounds from another world. On the stroke 1 of the dam burst, there is also the aspect of what we call congestion or overpopulation. We have been told a stroke of 1, a dam burst. Flood of hungry office workers gushed out of the ministerial offices, and in furiously ravenous torrent swept down the hill. They came in armies. That brings to us one key thing, the aspect of overpopulation. Look at how the other tribes describe the people. We have talked about pollution coming as an issue. We have talked about unemployment of the park loungers, but the park loungers, we talk about only the side whereby even though there was something that they could go to do or somewhere to go, they would not go. It's only point we can talk about unemployment of those people. But on this aspect, we talk about unemployment from that angle of the people who are just relaxing or laying actually in the park, and they would not move at any particular point. Number 2, you have the cars brayed on the highways. That brings out the paragraph for pollution. And we have the other part of it about overpopulation, which is going to be brought about by the dam burst. A flood of hungry office workers gushed out of ministerial offices, and furiously, ravenously, torrent, the word that have been used there, we have talked about dam, flood, and torrent swept down the hill. They came in armies of a population that you have great number, a big number. We have great population in town. Time had once again thrown the floodgates open. They swarmed down the hill into the park, past the first ice cream man. So we have the first key thing about now introduction of another character. And one of the key things about the city, it is not easy to earn a living. For the hawkers and the people who are trying to earn a living, it is not a walk in the park. We have the first ice cream man, a story about this man, which is actually a replica of so many other people in the city center or in towns that are trying to earn a living. Let us read about the story of the ice cream man before we go to the fruit man.
The swarm swirled around him and over him and away. Today, like yesterday and the day before, not one bar of ice cream was bought by the hungry ones. Once across the highway, the waves disintegrated into individuals and dispersed. Some rushed for the meat roasting places down River Road. Others joined the queues at the numerous fish and chips joints, where they dutifully swallowed soggy fried chips with watered down ketchup. In a few seconds, the 1,000 or so strong swarm had been swallowed up by the yawning concrete jungle. With its usual idle curiosity, the sleepy park witnessed the spectacle. The park waited in an hour. The tide would return. The parched park was almost dead, alive only with a few idlers in the dust-raising wind. The dry fallen leaves scampering to hide from the hot breeze, which, like the hungry humans, blew down the narrow path across the highway and into the humming city. The ice cream man's bell still rang lonely and unwelcome, like a lost leper's warning bell.
Okay, just a moment. We can see one of the key things about this ice cream man, one bar of the ice cream was bought by not even one. And one of the key things is that he has been trying, even the previous day, he had not made a sale, not at all. It becomes difficult. And one of the key things is stands on the road where these people are passing. They are great, huge number. but none buys from him. And one of the key things, the ice cream man bell still rang lonely and unwelcome, like lost lepers warning bell. So this one brings out one key thing: making a living in the city center or in the city is not easy. And you have a good example of the ice cream man. And with all these people are passing by, none tries to buy anything from him.
Under the gnarled bare trees, in fact, anywhere there was the slightest shade, a few men lay half awake, hiding from the tormenting sun. A shaggy, thin man sat under a shrub, scratching numbers and letters on his black, dry skin with a used match. By his side were the two oversized fruit baskets he had been selling from all morning, in which he would resume hawking after the lunch break. Now he scratched his head with a matchstick and tried to balance the morning sales. He mumbled to himself, cursed, and rolling up his trouser legs, continued writing on his die. Finally.
Okay, just a moment before we go to the next page. Before we go to the next page, please. One of the key things that comes out, we have now the aspect of poverty coming out clearly. And talk about poverty, it's going to be brought out by the man, how he's described, and we are being told a shaggy, thin. Remember, when I'll be looking at your essay, I'll be seeking to see those words. If you're discussing poverty as an issue that is in the urban centers, I'll be seeking you to see you writing and saying, for example, a shaggy, thin man. The way he's described is shaggy, he's thin, sat under the shrub, scratching numbers and letters on his black, dry, look at that, black, dry skin with a used match. The skin is described as black and dry. By his side were two oversized fruit baskets. So we have two people are trying to make a living here, how difficult it is. We have been told about the story of the ice cream man, who none, the guys who are gushing out, the armies, none bought anything from him for the 2 days that he has been there. But now we have another one who we are being told first is shaggy, he is thin, and we can see him writing and scratching numbers and letters on his black, dry skin. By his side are two oversized fruit baskets. He's a hawker. He's trying to sell something. He had been selling from all morning, which he had to resume hawking after the lunch break. Now he scratched his head with a matchstick and tried to balance the morning sales. He mumbled to himself and cursed, and rolling his trouser legs, continued writing on his thigh. You can see the frustration. You can see the desperation. And you can see the aspect of this man. It is not easy to make a living. And you can see that from the frustrations now he's described, he's not happy with whatever he's doing or whatever he has made. Continue, please. Do another small paragraph. Let me finish up the paragraph.
Excuse me. There's some people who want you to share this, to share your screen. There are some people who also want to view the story. Please.
The story, they should be having the books. We are reading from the book. We are reading from the book. We expect them to be having their books, yes?
Finally.
I will only share, just okay, it's good they understand that I will only share the question, the question that I've done. But sharing the screen on the story, we are using the book, we are reading from the text, so they're supposed to be having their text with them.
Okay.
Yes.
Finally, he flung the stick away and, wetting his palm with saliva, violently erased what he had scribbled. Then he fell unceremoniously on his back and covered his rough, bearded face with bony hands.
With two bony hands?
On the lake, so, a couple of men.
There is a way he has been described there, and the description is the most important thing. He is described as a man who is actually, the bearded face with two bony hands. We have been told in the other page that actually he has a dry black skin. And apart from that, we have also been told that apart from having dry skin, we are being told his hair is shaggy and he is thin. And he has been hawking the fruits, and maybe he has not made some good sales at the same time. Continue, please. On the lake.
On the lake, a couple of men paddled vigorously in two small hired boats. A few others sat on the cement bank and showed feet swinging only a few inches above the dirty gray water and ignoring the ice cream man's cry, watched the boaters. With undivided interest, they witnessed every move, every paddle stroke, and every paddle stroke. Some sat alone muttering to themselves. Those who sat in twos or threes communicated only in monosyllables. Every day, the same watchers watched the same rowers move their boats over the lake and under the bridges. Every day, unconsciously reacting to the maxim that that spectating is the next best thing to participating. A few meters above the lake was the fish pond, now dangerously overgrown with weeds. The yellow
Now,
blue.
before you start that part of it, we can see some of the key things that in that paragraph that you read them, that we have the two men paddled vigorously on the small hyatt, few others sat on the cement bank. We have some guys who are just relaxing there. But one of the key things that is going to come out clearly, it is actually the way you're reading now, the paragraph that is going to bring out an ethical act. A few meters above the lake, there was a fish pond, and we just want to see how that fish pond has been neglected. That is, we're going to get our first paragraph on what you call unethical acts. And one of the key things we talk about unethical, there are people who are supposed to be taking care of the park, but they are not taking care of the park. And the aspect of them not taking care of the park is being brought out in that paragraph that we're going to read is our last paragraph before we close the class. Continue, please.
A few meters above the lake was the fish pond, now dangerously overgrown with weeds. The yellow, blue, and purple water lilies struggled with the colorless weeds. Where once there had been a blue and green surface, there was now an ugly mishmash of pond weeds. Where the pond flowers had once struck their buds out in thick, colorful fingers and proclaimed order, there now was a riot of unclassifiable intruders with bastard flowers. The park soil of the northern bank of the fish pond had collapsed and reclaimed it, thereby forcing the murky brown water and the bewildered fish to the deeper further end.
So this brings out one key thing. We can see the park has been neglected. And what shows the park has been neglected, that the people are supposed to take care of it, they have not done anything about it. And one of the key things that brings out that clearly is that we're being told the yellow, blue, and purple water really struggled with the colorless mishmash of the pond weeds. That is one. Apart from that, we're being told the pond flowers had struck their buds out, the colorful fingers and proclaimed orders, or was riot and classifiable intruders and bastard flowers. Apart from that, you're being told that the park soil, the northern bank of the fish pond, had collapsed and reclaimed it, thereby forcing murky brown water on the bewildered fish for the deeper, further end. So we can see that the people who are supposed to be taking care of the pond have not done so. And we're seeing the aspect of neglect coming out from the authorities. The people are supposed to be taking care of the pond. The pond has been neglected, and that is unethical. There's someone who is supposed to be taking care of that and has not done so. I'll stop at that particular point. I don't know whether you want me to have the story, take a photo of it, then we can put it actually there or something of that sort. You can do it through a cam scanner. That would be a good one, so that you can share with them. Maybe people may not be having books. You can share that as we read together. That would be what I might suggest. Let us see what we can do about it by tomorrow or by Monday, that is. Is that okay?
Yes.
So thank you very much. I stop at that particular point.
Okay.
All right.